Would I be the idiot for reporting my mom and sister for stealing my car? And buckle up because this story has 4 updates, and the last one is the craziest. I am male 24, and live with my mom in a rural part of the USA. For context, when it comes to my sister, 37, she is much older and we come from different fathers, and both grew up in split custody arrangements. We are not particularly close, almost acquaintances more so than siblings. I don't really feel any familial connection even though I love her. I don't feel obligated to bend backward for her. Well, sister lives 2 hours away, in a much more urban area, and is currently going through a divorce. Her and her ex-husband only had one vehicle and it belongs to the ex-husband, so when they split, he took the car. Sister has 4 daughters and works a full-time job. I on the other hand work from home and have no real external responsibilities. My mom came to me asking if my sister could borrow my car for a couple of months until the divorce is finalized so she has a way of transporting her and her kids to wherever they need to be without the financial burden of purchasing another car or relying exclusively on ride-sharing. I just recently bought my car 12 V8 Mustang, and it's my first vehicle ever. I didn't get a hand-me-down or get one as a present when I turned 16 or 18. I was basically immobile except occasionally being allowed to drive my mom's car. Or when my dad had me I could get Ubers. Getting my own vehicle was extremely liberating, minus the loan, and I don't feel trapped at home, so when I was approached with this proposal I flat out said no. I can totally understand the justification for letting her use my car for a couple months. But aside from the fact I don't want to lose my newfound sense of freedom, I also just don't want someone else driving my car, and maybe that's selfish of me. Over the last few days my mom and sister have been trying to convince me to let her use the car, saying that she would pay for the car payment while she has the car, or that she'd pay for insurance if she has it longer than anticipated. No matter what they brought to the table, I kept saying no, much to their dissatisfaction. This morning, I realized that my mom wasn't home. I opened our garage to see that her car was still there, but mine was not. I immediately know what has happened and call my mom about the situation. She just tries to calm me down and have me try to picture it from my sister's point of view, but I'm just flushed with rage and instead just tell her that I'm going to report the vehicle as stolen instead. She just hung up the phone. As of now, I presume my car is down with my sister, and I am seriously considering reporting it stolen and naming her and my sister as perpetrator and conspirator. I really don't want it to go that far, and I hope that we could instead work this out. But what I initially said as an angry threat, I'm starting to really consider as an option. I just don't know if it's worth burning so many bridges over a car, but the fact that my family won't respect my boundaries or my property is so frustrating. Would I be the idiot? Now for a few comments before the first update. Not the idiot. This is absolutely theft, and they need to learn to respect your property. Call it in. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I would call your sister and tell her that if your car is not returned in X hours, you will be reporting it as stolen and you will press charges. Her call if she wants this drama on top of her divorce. This is her actions and your mom, not yours. She clearly knew that you were not happy. Your mom owes you an apology, and if she kicks you out, I would go no contact. Then I found this mini update in the comments from the original poster. Mom has her own car, but doesn't want to lend hers out because she needs it for work every day. I had offered to let her use mine for work and she lend out her car to sister, but she refuted this idea, saying that she doesn't feel comfortable driving my car and that she needs ample space for medical supplies. She is an in-home nurse. I am well aware that my living situation will change if I call the police on my mom and sister, but honestly the living situation is already compromised. Regardless of the resolution, I will be moving out as immediately as possible, as I am financially stable enough to do so. This whole thing is just the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, here's the first real update. Thanks everyone for all the input into the situation. I sincerely appreciate it. I ended up giving them an ultimatum to return my car by business close tonight. And if they do, I would be willing to move past it and not let it affect any future relationships. Said I would also pitch in a small amount of money to help my sister rent/buy her own car. But if they don't return it by business close, I will be filing a police report that my vehicle has been stolen and that it was my mom who is the perpetrator and my sister is a conspirator. To answer a couple questions all at once. Mom has her own car, but doesn't want to lend hers out because she needs it for work every day. I had offered to let her use mine for work and she lent out her car to sister, but she refuted this idea, saying that she doesn't feel comfortable driving my car and that she needs ample space for medical supplies. She is an in-home nurse. I am well aware that my living situation will change if I call the police on my mom and sister, but honestly, the living situation is already compromised. Regardless of the resolution, I will be moving out as immediately as possible, as I am financially stable enough to do so. This whole thing is just the straw that broke the camel's back. Didn't put it in the original post, but I've been getting a lot of comments regarding living for free at my mother's house. We split bills 60/40 on basically everything. It's not truly 50/50, but absolutely by no means am I freeloading at my mom's house. We'll update again if the car has been returned or not. Now for a few comments before the second update. Comment 1. Your living situation will and should change regardless of calling the police or not. You said no and they didn't respect you enough to abide by your decision over your property. That's the very first thing that needs to change. If your sister can make the car and insurance payments on a Mustang, she can afford an old beater temporarily. There is no reason for you to pitch in. Comment 2. Your sister's comment that she would pay the insurance if she had it longer than anticipated tipped you off that she is already planning to keep the car indefinitely. And not only does your mom not want to give up her car, but I'm betting your sister prefers to drive your car and beg mom to bring it. The reason I think that is mom can't give sis her car and drive yours because she is scared of driving yours, but not scared enough to not steal it and drive it 2 hours away. Now for the third update. But stick around because there's one more after this and you won't want to miss it. So, car has been returned, and the police will not need to get involved. However, there is body damage that wasn't there the last time I used it. Can't tell if it was intentional damage or not, but it honestly doesn't matter. We'll be getting all relevant papers in order, and then we'll be lawyering up so the damages are paid for. As soon as this entire situation is resolved, I will be moving out. I have learned to never keep my keys out ever again. Thanks so much everyone for your input and advice. Now, for the fourth and final update. After the overwhelming majority of you told me that I need to go to the police in my last post, I have decided to report the entire situation to my local sheriff's office. We'll do everything in my power to make it so charges aren't pressed, which I hope is likely since the car was returned. We'll still be doing everything I mentioned in my previous post, regarding getting all papers in order and moving out as soon as possible. We'll probably still look into getting a lawyer just in case. Told the sheriff's office that my car was stolen for approximately 16 hours from my mom and sister, and that when the car was returned there was body damage that wasn't previously there. They are sending over a deputy to take a look at my car and question myself and my mom about the situation. I have group text chats that list my ultimatum, as well as some texts that were exchanged previously about mom and sister essentially begging to use my car while I kept saying no. I will be making my mom and or sister pay for the body damage, and if insurance won't, I will be going to court for it. I don't care how petty that is, or if it just opens an even larger can of worms. I absolutely refuse to pay $2,000 plus for body damage repairs that I didn't create. Hopefully this is the actual final update I will have to post regarding this situation. Regardless of the damage, I'm just glad that I have my car back. Family situation is beyond busted and will be going no contact with my sister for an indefinite amount of time, and will do the same with mom as soon as I move out, which is hopefully by the end of the month. Thank you all for your advice and input throughout this whole ordeal. Comment 1. Thank God, and while it's not fully in your control, charges being pressed wouldn't be the end of the world. They don't seem to understand that actions have consequences, and this may be the way they learn that. Good luck op. Also a heads up, your rates may go up with your insurance, so maybe make them aware of the police report. Comment 2. You're the idiot, quite frankly. You're treating your mom and sister like random strangers who violated you, rather than understanding the needs of your family. You're taking a huge fuss over a temporary inconvenience. Your sister is going through a divorce and needs your support, not threats to involve the police. It's your car, sure, but what's the harm in letting her use it for a couple of months when you're working from home and don't need it as much? It's just a car, material things can be replaced, family can't. Your reaction is quite overblown. Imagine putting your family through legal trouble over a car. Instead of focusing on your temporary inconvenience, maybe it's time to rethink your sense of entitlement and learn some empathy. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my mother she was being childish over my wife falling asleep half without clothes in her living room? Okay, so my wife and I are visiting my mother this week. She and I don't have a good relationship with my mother, but due to some recent stuff going on in our lives, my wife said she wanted to maybe try to mend that relationship, and I agreed and reached out to her and scheduled a visit. The first day went pretty well, as did yesterday. Then last night we were sleeping in the guest room and heard the baby crying, and my wife got up to get him. So here's what happened. She was wearing a t-shirt and underwear when she got up to take care of the baby. Then she took off her shirt to feed the baby, put the baby back down. Then she just lied on the floor of the living room and fell asleep without putting her shirt back on. She was essentially just sleepwalking. My mother woke me up this morning and told me that my wife was on the living room floor in just her bottoms and seemed extremely offended that she did that, and told me to get her that instant. I woke her up and got her shirt back, and we went back to the room where she got dressed. She was really embarrassed and told my mother she was sorry. But my mother wouldn't let it go and kept going on about how she couldn't believe she did that while we were guests in her house. And I told her she was being extremely childish since she had to raise a baby before too and should know how hectic it can be. This made her very angry and led to a pretty intense argument that ended with us getting our things and leaving. My wife is really embarrassed and feels really bad, and I'm pissed. I get that it was her house we were staying at, but for Christ's sake, my wife just had a baby and has been working her ass off taking care of him. Am I the idiot? Edit. Something I should have mentioned in the post. My wife is autistic, so she can behave in strange manners sometimes. And yes, my mother knows that. Edit 2. To clarify, yeah, we had the baby's cot in the living room, so she just lied down after putting him down. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. And good on you for sticking up for your wife. Autistic or not, she's exhausted. And you probably are too if you're pulling your weight and doing a fair share of the new baby duties. Obviously it wasn't an intentional offense, and your wife is embarrassed already. Instead of finding a way to help or comfort your wife, she chooses to find malice in it and continue to shame her after an apology. I can only shake my head in disbelief at her, and some of the posts here, lack of empathy and understanding. I definitely wouldn't waste too much time, energy, or effort on a relationship with someone like that. Good luck with the newborn and finding a better support network. Comment 2. I feel like this would be totally understandable given the circumstances. Yes, it's a little awkward, but your wife is literally sleep deprived and trying to feed a baby. She apologized. That should be enough. Maybe a relationship with your mom isn't meant to be. Not the idiot. Now for the update. 2 months ago I made a post about how my wife, an 8-month-old son, and I visited my mother's house where we got into a big argument over my wife. Since then, my mother and I have been able to draw some sort of truce where things are about where they were before, if not a little worse. However, I know a lot of people were concerned about my wife, and I just wanted to share something that happened today. So my wife's stepsister and her 5-year-old daughter are visiting us right now. Last night my wife was watching TV in the living room and our son was in his living room cot, and she fell asleep on the couch with the TV on and the baby asleep. Then she ended up doing the same thing where she woke up in the middle of the night and took her shirt off to feed him and then fell asleep on the couch without her shirt on. This morning her niece was the first one downstairs and she saw my wife and woke her up and was giggling like, "Aunt Nain, you fell asleep without your shirt on," and then picked up her shirt off the ground and gave it back to her. My wife said she felt very embarrassed and mortified at first, but then immediately after she put it back on, her niece quickly moved on to asking about what was for breakfast, and the two of them went into the kitchen to talk and make everyone breakfast, and her niece didn't once mention finding her on the couch without her shirt. My wife told me that it really made her realize just how much of a not big deal this situation with my mother was and how my mother was just being a baby. And she now feels a lot better about that whole situation I posted about. It's pretty tragic and hilarious that a freaking 5-year-old child handled the situation with more grace and maturity than my grown-ass mother did. Anyway, yeah, that made me really happy and I wanted to share it since it probably would make a bunch of others who were worried about her happy too. Comment 1. You're the idiot, and so is your wife. I mean, come on, you were in someone else's house. It's only right to respect their space and their sensibilities, isn't it? Sure, your wife was tired, but can't she feed the baby in a more private place? Like the room you guys were sleeping in? And then to just fall asleep half naked on the living room floor? It seems incredibly disrespectful to me. Your mother was right to be upset and demand that you address the situation. I don't see how she was being childish at all. Rather, she was simply expressing her discomfort in her own home. Also, your wife's autism isn't an excuse for inappropriate behavior in other people's homes. You need to step up and ensure such incidents don't occur again. Comment 2. If I found one of my kids or their spouses had fallen asleep in my living room, my reaction would be to gently and quietly cover them with one of the throw blankets I have on the sofa. Gender and state of dress wouldn't matter. My house can get chilly. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for telling my husband I was going to divorce him for going to his sister's wedding? So this is happening in real time, and I don't know if my emotions are super high or I'm completely in the right. My sister-in-law is getting married and I've been helping her plan her wedding, from the DJ to the makeup artist to hair etc. She asked me to be in the wedding party. I agreed to that. My husband agreed to have me read a prayer at the church, even though I'm not very religious, and to sponsor the wedding. I was never asked for that. Comes to today, her first dress fitting. I'm there with my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-law, and her future in-laws. Everyone was looking at bridesmaid dresses, and so was I. I was then in that moment told I was not in the wedding party. I was not allowed to be in the wedding photos, and would have to drive myself to the wedding, due to my husband being in the groom's party. I was told I was basically the wedding my planner, and would need to leave after the ceremony while the wedding party took photos, to make sure the reception was being set up correctly. I walked away and texted my husband. I was upset but didn't want to ruin his sister's big moment. She picked her dress and they continued to look at bridesmaid dresses. I told my sister-in-law I was leaving and congratulations on the dress. I made it outside and began to cry and called my husband and explained the situation to him. This isn't the first time his family has done this to me in the 9 years we've been together. They disrespected me and my marriage so many times. I explained I no longer wanted to attend the wedding and he said okay, but I still am. I told him if he wanted to that was fine. But it would be the last time he allows his family to make me feel this way. He said I'm being ridiculous and my family agrees with him. So am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If your husband goes to this wedding you will end up resenting him. After that it's just a matter of time. Cut your losses and go find someone who will honor his vows to put you first. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Nope, and follow through with it if he can't stick up for you. If you're petty, cancel everything you had a part in planning. Any money you spent, return any and everything. Then the original poster responded with, I said I was going to cancel the hair and makeup and my husband told me that his sister is already in contact on her own. Kinda feels they used me for my resources. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You're not being ridiculous. This is just the straw that has broken the camel's back and you have had enough. The family mistreats you, your sister, and your husband. Well, I could say a lot about him, but I don't want to be banned. Don't go to the wedding. Don't do anything more for the wedding in any shape or form. Use that time to find yourself a good divorce lawyer and a new place to live because it sounds like your family can't be counted on either. I can't see this getting any better with couple therapy because they are all so flippin' awful and sound like the kind of people who would act all shocked and play the victim if you called them out. Don't waste any more time on these people. Polish that spine and get the hell out of there. Now for the first update of 2. For the last week, my husband has been trying to make our relationship work. He let me know that he spoke to his sister, and she has hired an official coordinator, and says she no longer needs my help. She also fired the DJ, unsure about the makeup artist. She also told him she does not know where I got, confused and misunderstood the situation of being a bridesmaid. He showed her the messages of her, asking me and telling me the bridesmaid dress color to buy. She didn't have anything to say, but told him that she never meant for me to be so confused. He told her he will be walking her down the aisle and then leaving the wedding. He told me I ruined his relationship with his family. He said that I am also losing his family in the process, and that they will hate me. I told him that in the 9 years his family has never cared about me. I told him that if he was to die tomorrow, no one in his family would reach out to me after the funeral. He didn't have anything to say after that. I think she knows that it's 100% true. He said he would like to continue with the divorce. I think that's the best decision. I was in a pretty bad car accident. I was hit from behind while the other driver was going about 50 miles per hour. I ended up in the hospital and called my husband. He didn't show up. He said he was too busy with work. His sister, the bride, lives about 5 minutes away from where my car accident was and he asked her to go. She never showed up. I brought that up to him. and he said no one was obligated to go to the hospital until I became conscious. I feel sad that I'm losing such a big part of my life, but I know that I deserve someone who cares about me and will put me first in situations that hurt me. Now for a few comments before the second update. Comment 1. You're the idiot, and so is your attitude towards this situation. Yes, your feelings were hurt, but honestly, you're overreacting. The wedding isn't about you, it's about your sister-in-law and her soon-to-be husband. Threatening divorce because your husband still wants to attend his own sister's wedding seems really extreme. And your insistence that he should abandon his family's important event just because you feel slighted is manipulative. You're his wife, but that doesn't mean you get to dictate his relationships with his family. Your husband isn't the only person in the wrong here. You have also contributed to this situation by handling it poorly. Your family agreeing with your husband is telling. I suggest you work on your communication and maybe reassess how you handle conflict, not just in this situation, but generally in life. Comment 2. Trust me, there is much better out there. I know it's so hard to move past a huge part of your life in this way, but my first husband sounds similar to yours. My husband now would never pass up any opportunity to make me feel cared for and loved. Divorce is refreshing and a new beginning. A much brighter future awaits. Comment 3. Not the idiot, and sign the divorce papers in front of him with a smile on your face. Hell, pop open a bottle of champagne and make a toast to him. Tell him karma is a witch to people like him, and enjoy it when she comes. Now for the final update. I looked it up to give you the correct answer. Sponsors are the only people you legally need at your wedding. They act as witnesses to your marriage, and they're the ones who will sign your marriage certificate. Of course, aside from the legal aspect, they also act as godparents to you and your partner. Also, today was the wedding party pre-dinner to get to know one another. I was invited over a month ago with my husband, but I couldn't go today due to it being my mother's birthday, so my husband and I told his sister I could do the dress fitting but not the dinner. So I'm confused as to why I needed to be at the dress fitting with all the bridesmaids and the wedding party dinner. She called all week to make sure I was still at the dress fitting. She was upset, but my mom has lung cancer and she's not doing well, so I wouldn't miss her birthday. My husband texted his sister and told her we weren't going to come. I'm not sure what she said back, but he was upset the whole dinner for my mom's birthday. The DJ is my brother's best friend, and the makeup artist is my stepsister, so I know I could tell them what's going on, and they cancel. Backstory. On Thanksgiving, my sister-in-law asked me and her sisters, 3, to help her plan her wedding, so I wasn't the only person asked to help. I agreed then because I know the stress of planning a wedding alone. I picked out centerpieces and helped with things she didn't know about, something new, old, etc. Ever since I've been helping her with vendors and even picking out her wedding song. I think deep down I'm not upset about not being in the wedding. I just wish I didn't look stupid going to the dress fitting and looking at dresses. Like, I wish she would have just called me on the phone and been like, hey, there's a change of plans, you're no longer in the wedding. It was done in front of my mother-in-law, her future mother-in-law, and the fiancé's sisters. I think everyone saw. I took it by surprise when I was told. The bride used her little sister to be the one that told me because I know she didn't want to look like the bad guy, despite me and my mother-in-law not having the best relationship. She doesn't allow her daughters to walk all over me, but she doesn't speak English and didn't know what was being said to me. After speaking with my husband when I got home from my mom's birthday, he said his sister asked him 2 weeks ago to walk her down the aisle due to their father passing, and him being her only brother, and that if he doesn't attend the wedding I will be opening the worst can of worms ever. I explained to him that he was supposed to walk with me and that when I was took from the wedding they changed what he was doing. He said he would walk her down the aisle but not go with them in the limo and not be in any photos. I know he's a huge mama's big, so I will likely not be married in the upcoming weeks. The petty revenge. I thought about just attending the wedding, and when asked to give my prayer, just mentioning in front of the families how the bride and groom are huge cokeheads. The groom's family is extremely religious. It would just ruin the wedding, but my husband knows how petty I can be and thought I have a master plan. Comment 1. None of this is okay. And it shouldn't matter if your husband is a mama's boy. I married an only child mama's boy who lived with his mom for years as an adult after his parents separated. He still finds ways to value me and his mother at the same time. I really hope you don't go and pull back on everything that you had a part of. They can figure it out on their own. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If you go to the wedding and do that, they will always be the victims, and you will also be their brother married. It's not even worth it. Cancel what you can and spend that day with your mom. Spend the day surrounded by loved ones. Those people don't deserve this much free rent in your head. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to postpone my vacation plans to fly out of state and see my half-sister? My 33 dad had an affair and got the woman pregnant, leading to my parents' divorce when I was 6. He was involved enough in my life, covered my college and things like that, but as I got into my teens I was a lot closer to my mom. He and his wife had a daughter Anna, and they also had 2 more kids later, my half-siblings. I talk to them sometimes, but we're not close. Anna is nice enough, but she also has a history of being jealous of me, and we don't have a sister relationship at all. Anna got married last year, and she moved out of state with her husband. We recently got bad news that Anna and her husband were in a serious accident. My dad and his family flew out yesterday, and he told me to come to see Anna. The problem is me and my boyfriend are going on vacation in a few days. Everything's booked obviously, so it's not possible for me to go without changing our plans. I told Dad and he got pretty upset. His wife also tried to talk to me but I was firm, and told them I understand where they're coming from but I already have plans. Me and Dad had a bit of an argument, so I eventually snapped and said he can't expect me to drop everything to please them, and this situation is his doing. I told my best friend the situation, and she thought I was being kind of an ass, and told me to post here. So, am I the idiot? There's no update, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. It's too bad that it happened, of course, but it's not your responsibility. What can you do, anyway, except hang around the hospital room? Your father will push and rage, because parents are obsessed with control, and they hate it when they're told no. No means no control, that they don't have the power to bully you anymore. Their ego explodes. Stay strong, OP. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If the two of you are not in a relationship, then just go to your vacation if that's already paid. Her has already family there, so just what you want to do. Comment 3. I lean towards saying no idiots here. Your father wanting you there isn't unreasonable. But given the fact that you and Anna aren't close and you have already spent the money for your vacation, I can see why you aren't willing to reschedule your plans. Soft YTA for telling him the situation is his doing. You and Anna are adults. Your relationship or lack thereof is your own doing, not his. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for telling my aunt she wasn't allowed to see my newborn? For my female 20 entire pregnancy, my aunt A, female 43, would make snide comments toward me and my fiancé, male 22, about how we aren't fit to be parents with our outrageous lifestyle. We live in a camper on my mom and stepdad's property that is our temporary home, and it's fully furnished with a working kitchen and bathroom. We're also a little bit on the hippie side of life. She would say she was surprised that my fiancé managed to get me pregnant since he isn't very much of a man. We share clothes. She would also make fun of my weight gains, saying she could barely see my belly with all the fat. I'm a pretty small woman, I think, and that eating for 2 isn't meant to be taken seriously. I tried to be kind to her in the beginning months of pregnancy because she had suffered through 2 miscarriages before I got pregnant. My fiancé has never been open about her being hurtful toward me and wouldn't let me write it off as her being upset over losing her babies, and I needed to set clear boundaries, so I did, and told her she couldn't see the baby without my permission. My aunt also has a history of breaking boundaries and calling CPS on family members because they don't have the same ideals that she does. Well, I just had a baby a month ago and finally felt well enough to visit my family. I have a rough relationship with my bio dad's side of the family, and I'm truly only close with my grandparents and siblings. So this past Sunday I decided I was going to take my baby to my grandparents' house so they could meet their great-grandbaby. I had informed my grandma that I didn't want to see Aunt A, and she obliged, only telling a few closer relatives that I was bringing the baby over, Aunt C and her children, in an attempt to keep it a secret from Aunt A. We had a great time and took many pictures with my family and baby. Here's where things get bad. My grandma had posted a picture on Facebook of her holding the baby. She had full permission, and my Aunt A had seen it despite not using Facebook for years, and within an hour had showed up at my grandma's house wanting to see the baby. I told her that she could leave, and just because she was family, she does not have the right to see my baby since she had been so disrespectful toward me and my fiancé. My cousin and my fiancé immediately put themselves between her and I to try and talk her down from her rage, and I could remove myself and the baby from the room. My fiancé managed to get my Aunt A and her children out of the house so we could leave. I got a text from one of my older cousins who was on my side during the fight saying that I should have just let Aunt A see the baby so the afternoon didn't get ruined. So am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Aunt A, you set up the boundaries for Aunt A and stick to it. You get to choose who can see your child. Even with your aunt being disrespectful to you and your fiancé, who knows what sort of comments she will say about your child too? Who knows what else she'll try to do? Call Child Protective Services for whatever reason? No idiots here, that doesn't fly. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Specifically for those comments on you being unfit parents. That's just her working herself up into calling cops to try some half-cocked idea out of taking your kid. I'm not saying it's a whole plan, but when someone's head is messed up and they are angry, things unexpectedly happen all at once. Now for the update. It's been around 6 months since the incident, and I wish I had a happier update. My aunt has still not taken the hint that I don't want her to be around my child or my fiancé at all. I respect my grandparents' choice to allow her over to their house for holidays and still attend the get-together despite knowing she'll be there. I still think I'm being a little ridiculous until she goes and tries to grab the baby out of the high chair or car seat without permission, and it drives me insane. This whole situation has driven a wedge in my family. Half of them believe I'm being selfish for not just allowing her to even hold the baby, and the other half have constantly had problems with her and completely agree with me. She has suffered another miscarriage in the last 6 months, and I'm very sorry this is happening to her, but I can't put my baby in contact with her anymore, so I've decided to keep my distance at holidays and get-togethers. We attended Christmas at my grandma's until she showed up with her kids in tow to get a hold of baby any way possible. I invited her over today at my grandma's to speak with her without a baby, and it went horribly. When she comes and she sees my fiancé and I, and then immediately notices that we don't have the baby, and she flips her lid yelling at us like we're children because we tricked her into coming there only to not bring the baby. My fiancé started the conversation only to be yelled at and called many names by my aunt. She ran away crying into the kitchen like we had done something to her. I followed her in and lectured her through her crying, telling her that her behavior at the moment was the exact reason she was not allowed to be around our baby, and if she was going to continue to belittle us on our lifestyle and parenting, she would never see the baby again. It felt silly to be lecturing someone 20 years my senior while she cried like a child. We left without saying anything else, and I held my tears in until we reached the car and sobbed the rest of the way home in the comfort of my fiancé. That was hours ago at this point, and I still feel a little silly for how I'm acting even though my aunt had shown how unstable she was to me today. But I don't want this to drive an even bigger wedge in my family. Comment 1. Don't feel silly for protecting your child. That's what parents should do. Your aunt is driving the wedge between your family. It's unfortunate she can have more children right now, but it's not an excuse for her behavior. She's wrong and needs to be held accountable. If she learns to manage her behavior, reconsider in the future. But she is not allowed to disrespect you and then think she's entitled to your child. It's not how it works. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Seriously, what is wrong with you? Your aunt may have made some rude comments, but that doesn't give you the right to deny her access to your child. It's her family too, and she deserves to have a relationship with your baby. You're being completely unreasonable and selfish. And to top it all off, you have the audacity to lecture her like you're some superior being. Who do you think you are? Your behavior is immature and petty. It's clear that you're using your child as a weapon to punish your aunt for things that happened in the past. It's time to grow up and stop causing unnecessary drama in your family. Your child deserves to have loving relationships with all their family members, and it's your responsibility to facilitate that. Stop being so bitter and vindictive, and start being a better parent. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Your aunt has an unhealthy obsession with your baby. If a stranger acted the same way, I think everyone in your family would want that stranger gone. I don't see how being blood-related changes her actions at all. She needs to get her poop together, and her enablers need to shut the hell up. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for buying my daughter a locked storage bin? I'm male 53, have a daughter, female 17, who I recently bought this big storage container for. The reason being our daughter has a job and likes buying her own food and snacks for herself. The problem is that her mom invites her aunt, uncle and cousins over all the time, and even since she started buying her snacks and leaving them in the pantry, they'd eat them without consulting her. She's asked them many times to not eat them, but they don't listen. For reference, she likes to order snacks from other countries as a way to broaden her horizons. She's also linguistically gifted and likes to try and read labels to help expand her vocabulary. These snacks can take weeks to get after she orders them again, and by then her current snacks are gone. My wife didn't do anything, saying that since our daughter kept them in the pantry there for everyone. She moved them to her room and her cousins would go in when she wasn't and take them. I went to a hardware store and bought a big container with a lock, and for extra measure I bought extra locks and drilled holes so that they could be used. Our daughter cried and thanked me because it was pretty expensive and not something she could afford. Of course the cousins went to get more snacks and threw a fit when they saw it and realized the snacks were in there. They told their parents, and they told my wife, and she's not happy with me, saying that our daughter should share her snacks with family, and she's being selfish and will get fat. Our daughter is incredibly fit, does multiple sports and exercises all the time. She's far from unhealthy. I told my wife she could order her own, and our daughter was happy to tell her where to order them, but she didn't like that either and told her that the chest needs to go and that I should have consulted her on buying the bin in the first place. Am I the idiot? Edit. The relatives are our daughter's cousins and aunt and uncle. They are my sister-in-law, brother-in-law and nephews. And sister-in-law is my wife's sister. To clear up any confusion, the pantry is also fully stocked with food. No one is going hungry and eating our daughter's snacks because they have to. Now for a few comments before the update. Your wife is well out of line. How dare she take your daughter's things? Your daughter works for these treats. Your wife has no right to steal them, and has no right to advocate her other family members steal them. Also, the fat remark. Just ugh. You did the right thing. You are not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. But I would take it a step further and get a deadbolt lock for her room to lock it when she isn't there. That way the cousins can't get into her room and will have something else to complain about. Then the original poster responded with, I'll consider that. Thank you for the suggestion. They've always had a nasty habit of going in her room and snooping. Now for the update. My daughter and my brother-in-law both found my Reddit post separately. First, my daughter, who was sent it via a friend who knew the situation. She confronted me about it, and we had a very long talk where she admitted that when I'm away her mom doesn't treat her well, and often puts her cousins/my nephews above her, telling her she should be understanding we're far better off than them. I was aware that they would occasionally sneak into her room to take things or play, but apparently they go so far as to wait for her to leave for a few minutes, run in and grab what they want. Her mom also makes a lot of comments about her weight. For reference, our daughter takes after me, being taller with some more masculine features such as broader shoulders, while my wife is small and petite. There's many other things I won't say here that my wife has said to our daughter. I didn't bring it up at first and consulted my wife on buying a lock for our daughter's door, which she opposed, even if our daughter said she'd buy it with her own money. She started yelling about how under her roof our daughter has to abide by her rules. The house is technically mine, not hers. She stormed off and immediately began telling all our friends and her sister and brother-in-law that I was being controlling and awful to her. The brother-in-law found the first post and sent it to her, leading to another argument where she accused me of airing our dirty laundry to the world instead of trying to communicate, despite me trying to and getting shut down. Once she stormed off, I packed a bag, as did my daughter, and we went to a hotel. Yes, we brought the snack bin, where we have been the past few days while I find a good divorce lawyer. My wife is still spreading lies about me, claiming I tried to kick her out, and all sorts of other lies. I'm finished with her. I don't care what she says. I'll be divorcing her and paying as much alimony as she wants so that I can keep my daughter safe from her. I don't care about the house, or anything else. She can keep it all and let her sister, brother-in-law and nephews mooch off her until she's penniless. I'm sorry this is not a happy update, and I doubt I will make one after this. Thank you for opening my eyes. Reddit edit. After so many people have told me not to give up the house, I will be doing my best to fight for it and low alimony for my wife. Me and my daughter shouldn't have had to leave the house we've both grown up in because of my wife. She can live with her sister if she wants to help them so much. Comment 1. You are an amazing parent. Your wife is toxic. But don't give up without a fight. You are providing for your daughter. The house is yours as your daughter will live with you. Your wife doesn't deserve to have your daughter call her mom. Comment 2. Bruh, you need to fight for your house and as little alimony as possible. Remember, every penny you keep from her is a penny more you can spend on your daughter. Education fund, house deposit, wedding fund, etc. Besides, that's your daughter's home you're talking about. Don't give it away to her toxic mother. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Are you serious? Buying a locked storage bin for your daughter's snacks and encouraging her to isolate herself from her family? That's beyond control. It's clear that you have no regard for the concept of sharing and family values. Your daughter's snacks were in the pantry, which is a shared space for everyone in the household. Instead of promoting open communication and compromise, you decided to lock away the food and create unnecessary drama. And the fact that you're supporting your daughter in leaving the house and planning a divorce based on this issue is completely disproportionate. Instead of being a responsible adult and finding a solution that benefits everyone, you're enabling your daughter's entitlement and encouraging her to cut ties with her own mother. It's selfish and manipulative. You should prioritize building a healthy and harmonious family environment rather than fostering animosity and division. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.